So you're a short king and you want to play badminton better, but all the top badminton players like Victor Axelsen are over 7 feet tall. So what can you do? Well, today in this video, we're going to show you the exact tips that you need to excel in badminton being short. Paul is pretty short, right? That's why he's on the channel. So I'm 6 feet, you're how tall?
5'8".
Okay.
On a good day.
What do you think is the main difference between my footwork or a player taller than me versus your footwork?
I have to do more steps.
You have to do more steps, and also our footwork positioning, we have to play more safe because when we run footwork, it's easier for us to be out of position because we're heavier and we can lose our momentum. Whereas your footwork, you can play more aggressively so that you can constantly be in proper positions. Let's talk about one is how do we create faster footwork for shorter players? One thing that shorter players can do a lot better than taller players is that they can keep their momentum low all the time, meaning that they can just keep sliding around the court all the time. One thing that tall players can't do, and they can't do this, is because when they're standing up, the fact that they have to come up and down is already moving this constant state of balance, okay? So one thing that you have to take into your advantage especially is that when you're moving around on court, it needs to feel like, boom, you're always on just one level. Right? One level. And a prime example of this is actually the Indonesian player, what's his name? Ginting.
Ginting?
Right? When you watch Ginting play, it never feels like he's changing levels in his movement. It feels like he's just constantly flowing around the court in one level. So how do we achieve this? Well, first, let's get into our ready position. Okay, so this is your ready position.
This one.
First of all, your ready position is already too straight. Okay, you're getting rid of your advantage by being this straight. You need to be on a level where you can stay low as you're moving the whole time. So bend your knees more and move forward and stay on the balls of your feet. You want to feel like when you're moving up and down, you have this bounce, but you're staying in the same position. If you're on your heel right here, you see it's kind of chunky, okay? Yeah. So feel like a stable motion. No matter what, you're always staying on this level. So try a few mini footworks. So let's start 1 step in every direction. You go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So one thing I see that you're doing is you're going up and down a lot. You're going, okay? We're not going up and down. We're staying on the same plane. So imagine we're all here, same plane the whole time. Give it one more go. Okay, good. A little bit better, still some movement. But do you feel the difference? When your head is more level, you are much more in control because you're being more conscious of your momentum being at the same place rather than if you were to move up and down. The second advantage that our short kings need to take advantage of is using body rotation. Why? Because tall players like Victor Axelsen, when they come up and they rotate their body, it's a very big movement and puts them out of position. So you'll see that tall players often opt for many half swings. If they're coming to the backcourt, they come up, do a half swing, and then return to position. They come up, they do a small swing, and then return into position. Whereas players like Ginting, they opt for more full rotation shots. So more often, they'll come back, Ginting, and he'll always do a rotation shot. He'll come back to the court, and he'll always do a rotation shot. Third thing our short kings need to do is develop a stronger net play. Why do you think net play is important for shorter players?
You can set yourself up for the attack more.
Yes, one is setting yourself for an attack. The second, which is the most important thing, is making sure your opponent doesn't attack, especially if they're a tall player. Because if you can't play the net and you give them always loose lifts or high lifts, that's an opportunity for them to cut off or to attack. So how do you play good nets? Well, there's 2 types of net shots we can play. One is more blocking and further nets, and one is tighter nets, okay? So when we're playing most of the time, we want to be hitting further blocking shots so that your opponent can't come and hit it a spinning net shot. And then if your opponent is out of position, then you can come up faster and hit a tighter net shot so they can lift. But most of the time, your goal is to prevent your opponent from getting a tight net shot spin, which makes you lift half court. So further blocking shots, net shots, look something like this. you'll see that when we're hitting these type of shots, we're not aiming for super tight net shots. We're hitting to around the singles line. Our main goal is that the bird comes fast and straight over the net so that your opponent will not get opportunities to come up for that spinning net shot and will have to push where you can then hit to move your opponent around. I would say that the most important gameplay strategy that every short king needs to utilize is the strategy of using defense and counter attacks, because it's not like a tall player where you can aim for those one-shot killers. What you have to do as a shorter player is make sure your opponent is out of balance before you're able to attack and hit them and kill that winning net shot. So most of your points winning is gonna look similar to like Momota or like Ginting. You're gonna be playing around, setting up. Once they do attack, you get up for that good defense and then boom, fast position into a counter attack. So a drill like that is very good for practicing defense into counter attack. And I think a lot of you can just practice that drill and it already should be good enough. So our last tip is to exploit speed and agility as a player. So let's say if we were medieval fighters, okay, with wielding weapons, what kind of weapon would I be wielding and what kind of weapon would you be wielding?
Probably a lighter weapon for me.
Yeah, imagine, for example.
A rapier.
What's that?
Like one that points for fencing.
Okay, let's say if I was a little bit taller, I would probably be in the medieval ages using a great sword, right?
Yeah.
Always getting in position, you know, setting up, and then when they look for that opportunity, then they do that big swing. So that's very similar to players like Victor Axelsen. You see a lot of the times he's just setting up, playing okay shots until he has that time to come in and do that big swing with his great sword. Now you, on the other hand, I would say you're more like a thief, you know? You're using a dagger. So how do you fight with dagger?
You try to get close.
Yeah, you try to get close. And what about your swings?
They're short and
yeah,
small.
they're short. And the most important thing, short, small, and constant.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be stabbing often, constantly poking them, because you have no chance with a great sword where you can come in and just hack their whole body in half. You got to like stab them multiple times until they bleed out. So what you want to be doing in your gameplay is coming up, stab, 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 stab. Stab them until they get stabbed so many times they bleed out. And what that looks like in gameplay is similar to how Ginting especially plays. You see, Ginting is always poking his opponent, moving around, getting them out of position, just more and more out of position until they're so out of position that they can't recover and hits a winner. Okay, so that's how short kings need to play. Play with a dagger.
Sounds
right?
Good. Stab people.
Okay, so let's try. Wield your dagger. So use this. You get only that. Yeah, I get the great sword. Okay, let's fight. Ready? Oh shit! Oh, oh shit! If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the link down below for more badminton resources, exclusive merch, and everything you need. Ah!